All right, folks, welcome to 𝗬𝗏𝗠𝗃𝗏. I got a very special guest today, and he's going to be talking about your health, folks. Seriously. A lot of us are dealing with chronic illness, inflammation. This guy has it down. He knows what to give you, what's going to help you. Gabe Doe, founder of Good Brew. Gabe, man, thank you for joining me on this.
Hey, thank you, Nino. It's a pleasure to be on this show and a pleasure to talk about gut health and all the aspects of life and a healthy society, a healthy America, and one that has been really we've been beat up by big pharma and many other aspects of our industrialized world. So it's great to be talking about getting back to foundational health for the individual and for our country as a whole.
People don't realize, man, like seriously, like a lot of people have like bloated. I suffer from bloatedness here and there. Everything starts with your health, with gut health. Everything starts in the gut, and everything is preventative. Like obviously it shows since 2020, we can't trust the medical industry for anything. At least I don't. So now we have to take preventative measures. Do you agree with that?
I absolutely agree with that. And that's a big part of gut health is fundamental to your overall health. If you look at all the aspects of a person's health, you would realize that the gut is where internally everything begins and ends. 70% of our immune function is in our gut. 90% of serotonin is produced in the gut.
Your serotonin's produced in the gut.
Right. There's serotonin that's produced in the brain. And that is what we know as, the feel-good molecule in the brain kind of. But it's a very important neurotransmitter throughout the body. And for the rest of the body, that neurotransmitter serotonin is produced in the gut. And what's really interesting about that specifically is more recent research has come out to show that our gut microbiome plays a major role in how well our body maintains and manages that serotonin. But now what's also being shown is that serotonin is directly connected to another molecule that you're probably very familiar with, but as a brain molecule, and that's melatonin. However, we also have melatonin in all the cells of our body. And I think this is very interesting research and just one little thing that we can touch on. But the serotonin that's produced in the gut is a precursor to that melatonin that's produced in the cell. So without the serotonin circulating through the body that's produced in the gut, we don't get the melatonin that's in the cells. And that melatonin that's in the cell is essential for supporting the mitochondria in the cell. So that mitochondria is essential to our overall health and how we age. So you've probably heard of cellular metabolism. Well, yeah. That mitochondria is supported by the melatonin, which is produced because of the serotonin that's produced in the gut. And that's just one little aspect of how important the gut is to our overall health.
I mean, I've heard everything from chronic illnesses that it all starts in the gut. And I'm like, man, okay, that makes a lot of sense to me. And that's another reason why I fast and do things like that. But I think, people tell me, well, you got to get on a good probiotic, right? So what this is a probiotic and a prebiotic. Explain that to my audience, because I don't even understand that. I know what probiotics are, but so what is a prebiotic?
Right. Okay. So the prebiotic is what the gut microbiome feeds on. So there's several things that make good prebiotics, like resistant starches and some fibers and those sorts of things. But there's also a lot of things that make really bad prebiotics. The gut's going to feed on something. The gut microbiome's got to have something to feed on. And so the prebiotic that we use is an organic inulin fiber. And inulin is the kind of fiber that's found in nature that our gut microbiome has evolved on and likes to feed on. And we actually use an organic inulin. So we're having to worry about the pesticides and these other things that have done so much damage to our gut. Now, there's a lot of fibers on the market, and they kind of market themselves as prebiotic, but they're not even natural fibers. They're like corn dextrin and wheat dextrin. And they're even
I've seen it, and they've told me to stay away from that. A lot of people told me.
Yeah, absolutely. We have people tell us all the time. So, like the biggest fiber on the market is like a wheat or a corn dextrin produced by one of the big pharma companies, and we have people tell us all the time that my doctor told me to start using this stuff, and my gut.
I've taken like my dad. I've seen my dad take stuff like Metamucil and things like that back in the day. Like, is that stuff any? Is
Well,
that kind of like in the
Metamucil is what's called it. It's so there's soluble fibers and insoluble fibers. Soluble fibers, like we use it as an inulin fiber, that's obviously water soluble. And then there's insoluble fibers. Metamucil is like an insoluble fiber, but Metamucil, for example, is really like made from cilia husk, and that's not really a normal part of our diet, the husk of something. But it's kind of filling and it kind of fills up the gut. It turns into a gel and it's not really
uh,
water soluble. So it's a different kind of fiber. And again, but it's not one that's really typically common in our diet. But a soluble inulin fiber is, and it makes a very good prebiotic. So your audience is probably familiar with Dr. 𝗬𝗓𝗓𝗠𝗃.
yep.
So I was at a conference with Dr. 𝗬𝗓𝗓𝗃, and I did a little talk, and then she had a big talk, and I was blown away, and I was so humbled because in my talk I talked about short chain fatty acids, and this isn't talked about enough. But short chain fatty acids are produced by 95% by the microbiome. Another 5% come from the foods we eat in our bodies, don't produce any of these short chain fatty acids. These short chain fatty acids are produced by the gut microbiome, a healthy gut microbiome, and they're produced in the lower intestine primarily. And these short chain fatty acids are essential for all of the cellular metabolism in the gut, and then also they circulate through the blood and support the rest of the metabolism in our bodies. And what I mean by that is that those short chain fatty acids are the fuels for the cells in the gut. And so when our gut gets into what's called dysbiosis, which a lot of people unfortunately are in dysbiosis, that means that the bad bacteria, the bad bug, you're going to have bugs, you're going to have bacteria in your gut. You see they're going to be dominated by good ones or bad ones. And so when the gut is dominated by bad bacteria, it's in dysbiosis, and that bad bacteria produces an environment it wants to maintain in. So it produces a more alkaline environment in the lower intestine. And the good microbes produce a lower pH environment in the lower intestine. And so when the bad microbes start to take over, they maintain that environment, and it's very hard to shift the environment back to homeostasis. And so our product, Good Brew, in a soluble fiber with a probiotic, survives through the stomach and gets to the lower intestine, where it helps to rebuild this lower intestine homeostasis and start to regenerate and give the body the ability to the gut to produce this short chain fatty acids, which are essential for our overall health. Well, I mentioned this in my talk, and Dr. Judy, actually in her talk, had a big segment on these short chain fatty acids, and she actually said the name of us and our product, and she said Good Brew should be right here in the middle of this talk, and that's how important that is to her, and there's not enough people that understand the importance of that and the fact that it's essentially a part of the gut microbiome. The gut microbiome is the essential mechanism for producing the short chain fatty acids. And that's where you get into when you're not producing those short chain fatty acids, you start to produce the gut starts to try to feed on other kinds of fuel sources. And that's where you start to get like these
Wow.
precancerous cells and that sort of thing.
Right.
So
And look what everyone's getting now, especially after 2020. Everyone's coming down with cancers and things like that. And I think I have my theories why, but don't want to say it here. But I mean,
yeah,
now, like after 2020, people became a hell of a lot more health conscious. And now, like the big kick now is what I'm seeing the trend is preventative. Everyone wants preventative stuff. And this right here, it doesn't get more preventative than gut health.
yeah, your gut is as essential as exercise and sleep. It's as fundamental to as those basic things, that we know, or if without them, we're not going to be healthy. And another really interesting point specific to your audience and you as an athlete is that the gut microbiome is an essential player in breaking. It produces metabolites. I mean, that's what gut microbiome can be thought of as like another organ in your body and playing these essential roles. So proteins are not absorbed by the body as whole proteins. They have to be absorbed as peptides and amino acids. And those proteins from our food get broken down by the gut microbiome into these amino acids and peptides. And there's even peptides that are specific metabolites of specific microbes in the gut. And so our probiotic that's in Good Brew has been clinically shown it's a natural probiotic. We'll talk about that just in a second, exactly what that is. And it's been clinically shown to increase protein utilization, obviously with a good diet, by 20%. So if you're an
By
athlete,
20%.
by
Wow,
20%.
that's a
Yeah,
big number, dude.
it's a huge number, and
Yeah, that's
I've
huge.
noticed it myself. I mean, I'm 49. I've always been somewhat of healthy. When I was younger, I was a bit of an athlete. But I tell you, as I've gotten older, I expect to get sore, more sore after just
Right.
anything that you're doing, right? Whether it's just some manual labor or exercising or whatever. And I've noticed, over the last few years, I'm just not getting as sore after physical activity, and I'm recovering faster.
How many times a day do you take this stuff?
Oh, it's just once a day, and it's it's really considered a functional food. Our organic inulin fiber is very a natural thing, and the probiotic is in nature found in the soil and that sort of thing. So that's how in nature we would have gotten it into our diet, is through the foods that we would have eaten, and
We're not getting that anymore, man.
we're not getting that. We're not getting that anymore. And the thing is what here's an important point I need to make, and then we'll talk about how much to use and stuff like that. Is that so? Your gut microbiome comes from your mother at birth. You get it from her. It's transmitted from your mother to you at birth. It's even transmitted during nursing. So when you're nursing, the mother actually gets signals. There's actual signals that are sent to these microbes actually travel to the breast milk, and this is how important the microbiome is, and so the child gets these microbes from the mother. But over generations and generations of antibiotic use and other medications and pesticides, the microbiome of society as a whole has really, in Western society, has become much less diverse. But then as individuals, as we go through our life and we're exposed to all of these things, we really have a huge, attack on our microbiome. And so the thing about Bacillus coagulans and our prebiotic is that it's a transitory probiotic, and this is what a lot of people don't understand. These microbes that are in your gut, they're very hard for them to get into your system sustainably through the mouth. So like a lot of these probiotics that are sold on the market, they're sold in capsule form, and they don't survive on the shelf very well, but they also don't survive through your gut. And
Yeah, I've
another
noticed you
point,
got to keep a lot of these refrigerated, and it's just a pain in the ass.
absolutely, and there's also not enough room in those capsules to put a significant amount of prebiotic fiber. And one thing all the research shows is that the prebiotic is just as important as the probiotic in
Wow,
sustaining good
I've never
gut.
even heard of a prebiotic. I've heard of probiotics. I've never heard of a prebiotic.
Yeah, sometimes they call it symbiotic when they're together, but
That makes
the
sense.
but by using a product in a scoop form like we have it, you actually get a significant amount of prebiotic fiber in combination with this probiotic. But the probiotic is a transitory probiotic. So what I was talking about that you get from your mother is these like colonizing probiotics or microbes. And so when you try to take those as a capsule, they don't really survive very well. They don't get through the stomach and the stomach acid very well. But the transitory probiotic, Bacillus coagulans, is a spore forming probiotic found in nature that has over the years it does an essential job of supporting the other microbes that are the colonizing microbes. And so by being a spore, it survives out in the nature, out in the sunlight, all of these kinds of things. And it's as a spore, um, designed to love our gut. And so you can put it in coffee. That's why you can't put other probiotics and things in hot beverages, because they're not a spore.
I
But
was
you
going to
can,
ask you, can I mix this just with anything? Like, I mean, because I mean, I take
yeah.
collagen and all this other stuff. I put it in my coffee. I want to
Uh-huh.
start adding this. So,
Oh, well, think about we have a lot of people that mix it with collagen, but think collagen is a protein. Collagen is a
oh
protein.
yeah, that'll work together.
Yeah, it's the second most common protein in the body is collagen. And your body doesn't absorb whole collagen. Your body only absorbs the amino acids once they're broken down from the collagen. So if you don't have anything in your gut to break that collagen down into amino
Right.
acids and peptides, you're not going to get anything from that collagen. And so that's what these probiotics do. But with being Bacillus coagulans, it survives in the hot beverage, but more importantly, it survives through the stomach, and the stomach acid gets to your lower intestine in combination with the prebiotic. So it starts to produce all of these great metabolites, helps you to absorb all these nutrients, the calcium, magnesium. They also is an essential part of the microbiome of absorbing and producing vitamins, even vitamin D. They've started to, it's been the studies have been out for a long time, but it's starting to become more, people become more aware of it. There's actually, we think about vitamin D from sunlight, which is like the most important way to get vitamin D. But there's microbes in your gut that will also produce vitamin D. They also produce B vitamins, so both helping to absorb the B vitamins from our food, but they also produce B vitamins as metabolites, and we know how important B vitamins are to our nervous system, to our muscular system, to all of our internal organ function. And so if you're trying to take a probiotic or something that's not really surviving through the stomach, you're not getting the prebiotics, you're not doing anything to really help support what you've
That
already
makes
got. Yeah.
complete sense to me. It makes them
Yeah.
it's logical. Let me ask you this. What about like how long does it take to when you begin taking this up? Because I've heard people can lose weight, get better looking skin, stuff like that, reverse diseases. How long does that take to start seeing symptoms reverse or chronic illness reverse when you start taking this stuff? I mean, is it a long process or does it start immediately?
Well, it depends on what the person is dealing with, and it depends on the individual person. But what we've been so blown away by is there's this health optimization aspect. That's kind of what we've been talking about, just overall better health from a better gut. And then there's people who have very specific digestive issues, like GERD and acid reflux is one that we hear about all of the time. IBS, chronic constipation, and some other things. And it's been crazy the testimonials we've gotten of people who have suffered for years and decades with some of these things, IBS, constipation, GERD, and acid reflux, and within like a weeks, they or even less, people have like given us testimonials. That's all I can really do is say that we have testimonials, and from sometimes within just a few days of people who
Wow.
have struggled and
Of
struggled
once a
for.
day.
Yeah, and that's one of the things too. It's not more is not necessarily better. It's what works for you, because it's not when you think about taking a chemical like a drug or something, we think about what it does immediately as a direct result of that molecule. But you got to remember, this is your gut doing the work, your gut microbiome doing the work. So it's about getting your gut microbiome happy. And we always tell people, just start with one scoop. And we have lots of customers, and a lot of these customers with these chronic problems, digestive health problems, they never use more than one scoop. They're one scoop a day is all they need. I personally use 2 scoops a day, and that's what I like. And I put it in my coffee. We have people that put it in smoothies and in
What was it? Does
water.
it have a taste to it or is it like
No,
you
no.
have
If you put
flavors?
No, we don't do flavors. That's the thing, is it doesn't mess with people. Love that too, is that they don't even notice it in their coffee, their drink, or their smoothies. So whatever way you like to flavor your things, whatever kind of coffee you like to drink, whatever kind of juice you like to drink, it's not going to mess with the flavor of that. So we don't have to mask anything. If you put a little bit on your finger and tasted it, it would be very mildly sweet to most people, which is another sign that it's an authentic organic inulin molecule, because they do make inulin for like the food industry as like stabilizers. But those inulins are longer chain, and they don't have that little bit of sweet taste to them. It's a very mild sweet. It's not enough to sweeten your beverage. It's not that sweet. But if you tasted it directly, you could actually take this actually by the spoon. I mean, you don't even have to put it in anything if you really don't want to. You can actually
So
just.
when you think about this, like gut health, I would imagine it only gets worse as you get older, especially if you had a poor diet, you don't watch what you eat. I would
Mhm.
imagine that this gets worse as you get older. So my audience would probably really benefit from this because I know that there's a lot of older individuals that watch my shows, 50 and up, 40 and up, but you got to start watching it now and it's never too late, right?
No, oh yeah, absolutely. We have people from little kids to 90-plus-year-olds who benefit from using our product, and these things like some of these gut health issues, they're the precursors to cancer and many other really long-term debilitating diseases. It's also where a lot of inflammation comes from. So if you've heard of leaky gut, that's when the gut barrier starts to break down, the gut lining starts to break down, which is supported by these short chain fatty acids in the gut microbiome. So an unhealthy gut microbiome means you're going to have an unhealthy gut lining. So things start to get outside of the gut that are supposed to stay in the gut.
Oh,
And
wow.
then that
Yeah.
causes an immune response, an immune
Oof.
cascade that then gets into a lot of these autoimmune diseases like arthritis and various other
Inflammation, right?
inflammation. Yeah, these sorts of things. And then also brain health. So the gut brain axis, there's all these studies on how important the gut is to your mood and depression
Yeah.
and those sorts of things, but also more severe like dementia. So there's these really good studies now coming out. They've known for a long time there's connection between dementia and the gut, But now these studies are coming out showing where that connection is likely coming from. And one of the things is it starts with the mouth and the gut microbiome that's in the mouth. And one of the other things is Bacillus coagulans has been shown to help balance the microbiome in the mouth as well. So better gum health, better teeth, better oral health in general. But those microbes migrate from the mouth down into the digestive tract, and they start to produce the same toxins that they produce in the mouth. They start to produce them in the digestive tract, and then those toxins start making their way to the nervous system, and that's where we start to get they think that where we start to get the immune response in this connection to like dementia, Alzheimer's, these sorts of things, or at least one aspect of why the gut microbiome is so essential to helping to be a part of prevention of dementia and better mental function. It's also got to do with iron. They've also shown a study connecting the gut microbiome to iron absorption. So if we don't have the right kind of microbes in our gut, we're not able to absorb iron from our nutrition, and then that lack of iron starts to also play a role in the cellular function in the brain cells. And so, they don't have the iron to function correctly, and therefore you start to have like an immune response in the brain to the lack of iron. So it's like it's just a plethora of connections between overall health and the gut. Yeah.
Wow. So where do people get this stuff? I know you got the bottle with you or the canister with you. You want to show everybody it?
Yeah. Go to GOODBRU, good brew spelled BRU.com, and we're going to have
I'll make sure the link is down there, and then you're going to do a promo code for not me, folks, but for Charlie Kirk's Turning Point.
That's right. Yeah, we're going to do. You'll get a discount when you use Charlie. So use discount code Charlie, and then we will also give 5% of the sales to Turning Point. So you'll get a discount, be a 10% discount for using the discount code Charlie, and then we'll also give 5% of the sales to Turning Point, and we'll do that through the end of the year. And so,
all right. And am I going to get any of this? I want to get some canisters. Are you going to send me some? I'd love to start on it, man. I want to get my mom on it.
Yep.
My mom has dementia.
I got your address, and I'm definitely gonna send you some. And
okay.
I'd love to hear back from you. And
yeah, let's do another show on this, and I'll tell you about the results and everything. So I'm gonna one thing my audience knows is I'll take this stuff faithfully and give it an honest try. So absolutely send it to me. I'll give it a shot. I am very interested.
It's so important. I mean, there was another big study that just came out connecting major correlation between cardiovascular health, heart disease, and the microbiome. So it's just, there's so much to talk about. I mean, we just don't have enough time to talk about everything. But the great thing about Good Brew is it's the prebiotic and the probiotic, and it actually works and survives through the stomach. We get tremendous testimonials, and you can use it so conveniently. You can use it in your coffee, which you can't do with other probiotics, and it supports all the other microbes. It's not one, it's if you're doing any other probiotics or doing anything else, Good Brew is going to help support.
It's going to actually help it.
Yeah, it's going to support any other probiotics you take. Yeah, absolutely.
So, Gabe, thanks for joining me. I appreciate you. Stay with me just for 1 second. Folks, hit the link below. Get started on this stuff. You will not regret it. Thank you.
Thank you, Nino.